They say you should move on from grief and let the dead rest in peace. But for me, this was not an option. Losing Ilara at such a young age meant I had the rest of my existence to contemplate what could have been, to wonder what kind of a life we would have had together. Instead, I now had to live the life of a widower, condemned to suffering pain and loss. The night of Halloween now took on a new dimension for me. No longer a period of mock scares and bags full of candy. The Night of the Dead brought a new kind of dark celebration. The windscreen wiped its scrape against glass like fingernails on slate. Rain blurs the world beyond recognition, just grey shapes and the occasional yellow glare of a road sign dissolving into mist. Cornwall's coast unfolds in bruised colours. Black cliffs plunge into foam that churns white as bone. The sea below sounds hungry, gnawing at rock with endless patience. I've driven for hours through this half-drowned landscape, following roads that narrow with each mile. The letter sits folded in my jacket pocket. Heavy paper, expensive ink. The Festival of Masks cordially invites. Ilara mentioned Penhallow, the place of her birth, many times before she succumbed. It was a place of old customs, she said, old ways of grieving. She'd smiled when she said it, that knowing smile she wore when speaking of things beyond my understanding. The Cornish always keep one foot in the grave, she'd said. She'd insisted on being buried in the church cemetery on the outskirts of the village. I'd been in a daze of grief as they lowered the coffin into the ground, as the locals murmured about the local girl coming home. In the throes of my grief, I fled the village as soon as the soil struck the coffin, unable to contain my loss. Her voice echoes through the car's empty spaces. I press the accelerator. The engine struggles against the climb, and the mist thickens until my headlights barely pierce 10 feet ahead. She would want to come, I tell myself. She would want me to honor her memory. A gull cries somewhere above. It sounds like weeping. I should turn back. I should let the dead rest. Drive home to the empty house, the silent rooms, the bed that still smells faintly of her scent. Instead, I lean forward and peer through the fog, searching for signs of Penhallow. The village materializes from fog, like something dredged from the seabed. Penhallow's streets stretch narrow and crooked, cobblestones slick with perpetual damp. Iron lanterns sway from hooks driven into stone walls, their flames dancing wild in the salt wind. Every door stands shut, every window blind. Ilara had spoken about this festival before her passing. None of the locals venture out on Halloween night, except those who have experienced grief in that year, and those tasked with organizing the event. The other townsfolk lock their doors, huddle in front of the hearths, ignoring the call to dead. I park beside a cottage whose roof sags under the weight of moss and years. The engine ticks as it cools. Through the windscreen, I watch shadows move between buildings, fleeting but purposeful. Music drifts from the village square, pipes and drums that are low and rhythmic. A woman's voice rises above the instruments, wordless and keening. I follow the sound through streets that feel older than memory. Seaweed clings to doorframes, salt crusts every surface. The buildings lean inward, as if sharing secrets, and my footsteps echo strangely, too hollow and too distant. The square opens before me. At its center burns a bonfire. Orange flames leap toward the starless sky, casting wild shadows across the gathered figures. 30 villagers sway in slow circles around the fire. Each wears a mask carved from oak wood, screaming mouths, weeping faces, empty sockets that stare into nothing. A woman in black emerges from the crowd. Her mask depicts a face frozen mid-scream. Wear it until the dawn bell, she states. Do not remove before. She presses carved wood into my hands. The mask settles against my face like a second skin. Wooden grain presses into my cheekbones as I fix the leather strap around the back of my head. It fits perfectly, as though made for me. The villagers' dance draws me forward. Their feet trace patterns in the ash scattered around the bonfire's base, spirals within spirals, symbols that hurt to follow with my eyes. I step into their rhythm without thinking, my body moving to drums that pulse as a dying heart, an infectious rhythm that stirs my body as though my very movements do honor my dear Ilara. The music wraps around us, pipes weaving through the drum's steady thrum, but beneath it, voices whisper, low and intimate, speaking names into the smoke. Margaret, Thomas, Sarah. My feet follow the spiral inward, then out, then in again. The masked faces around me nod and sway, hollow eyes reflect in flame. William, Catherine, James. The whispers grow clearer, more urgent. Ilara. I stop. The name cuts through drum and pipe as a blade in my mind. My wife's name, spoken by a dozen throats at once. The most recent of the departed, the final name on their lips. Ilara. I speak her name myself. The others press closer, their dance tightening around me. Faster now, feet shuffling through ash, skirts and coats billowing. I search their ranks for the voice, but their masks stare back empty. Beyond the flames, a figure stands, apart from the circle. Slight, still, hands clasped to her breast in a gesture I recognize. Ilara. The music surges, drowning my voice in its tide. I feel drunk, caught within its tides, as though walking through a dream or a nightmare. It is hard to tell. Figures merge and separate as I stare through the eye holes of my mask, searching for her, but she is gone. The dance slows, stops. The villagers arrange themselves in a perfect circle, masks tilted towards the fire's hungry light. Their haunting keening synchronizes, a single sound drawing air through 30 wooden mouths. One begins to chant. The words roll off her tongue. Cornish, ancient and guttural. Others join, their voices weaving together in harmonies that predate eons. Another figure steps forward, cupping ash in her palms. She tosses it onto the flames. The fire flares green, casting sick light across the carved faces. My pulse hammers inside the mask. The wood grows warm against my skin, damp with my breath. The chanting pounds in my skull like waves against stone. A woman moves through the circle. Her mask depicts a face mid-weep, cheeks carved with eternal tears. She extends her hand toward me, fingers trembling in the firelight. The ring catches the green flame. Silver band, small sapphire. Ilara's ring, the one I buried with her. Edmund. My name whispers through the carved mouth, her voice as thin as sea foam. She beckons me forward, away from the fire's warmth. The villagers' chant grows louder, more urgent. We move toward the square's edge, where an old well gapes like a wound in the earth. Moss slicks its stones black and green. The air thickens. Smoke clings to my throat. She looks down into the well's throat. The chanting swells behind us. The well breathes cold air against my face. She leans closer, her mask's carved tears catching the green firelight. This is why she wanted me to come. This is her final farewell. Her hand rises toward my face, fingers hovering inches from the mask's edge. The wood pulses against my skin as a second heartbeat. I can't breathe. The carved mouth seems to seal itself tighter with each shallow gasp. The chanting behind us grows frenzied, desperate. The green flames leap higher. I claw at the mask's edges. My fingernails scrape against damp wood, finding the leather cord that binds it to my skull. Don't. She tries to stop me, her cold hands reaching for mine. They are unearthly strong. But I tear free, my mind fracturing in the Halloween air, and I rip off the mask in one quick motion. Silence crashes down like a fallen cathedral. The chanting dies. Even the sea holds its breath. Every masked face turns toward me. Slowly, with ritual precision, they begin removing their own masks. The woman with the weeping face lifts hers last. Free from the ancient power held within the mask, the covenant broken, I perceive the true sight of the festival. Bone gleams in the firelight. Jawless skulls grin with empty sockets. Ribs show through tattered cloth, finger bones pointing in my direction. The woman before me, Ilara, pulls away her mask. Half her face is rotted to bone. Her left eye socket weeps black water. The right eye, clouded white, fixes on mine with infinite pity. You were meant to wait until dawn, she says, sadness etched into her words. Her voice whistles through exposed teeth. She reaches for me again, fingers trailing grave dirt. I stagger backward. The well's stones crumble beneath my feet. Darkness swallows the green flames, the bone faces, her reaching hand. I fall. Salt water fills my mouth. Sand grinds between my teeth. The tide pulls at my legs, each wave colder than the last. I open my eyes to grey dawn. Gulls wheel overhead. Their cries sharp against the surf's whisper. The mask lies beside me in the wet sand, its carved mouth filled with kelp. My clothes cling to my skin, heavy with brine. Every movement sends water streaming from my coat. I push myself upright, joints stiff as rusted hinges. The village perches silently above the cliffs. No smoke rises from the chimneys. The bonfire has died to a black scar in the square. I climb the slope, legs trembling. Pebbles skitter beneath my feet. The square lies empty, every mask scattered in the ash circle. Their wood split and charred. The well has collapsed inward, leaving only a depression filled with rubble. Ilara. The sea swallows my voice. I search every lane, every doorway. Windows stare blindly. Doors hang open to reveal rooms thick with dust. In one cottage, a table set for tea, the cups green with mould. Down by the rocks, something pale shifts in the kelp beds. I descend the path, my shadow long across the stones. The shape lies face down among the seaweed, arms spread wide. My hands shake as I roll it over. My own face stares back, white, swollen, eyes clouded like winter glass. The features perfectly mirror mine, down to the scar beside my left temple. Water streams from the corpse's mouth. Behind me, a bell tolls once across the bay. The sound echoes through my hollow chest where my heart should beat. I turn toward, and on headland where the church stands, I see the silhouette of Ilara.